6 here on the great WRKO and now on 93.7 HD2. The Kuhner Man is back. Hour 3 of the Kuhner Report. 617-266-6868 is the number. The immigration crisis gets worse and worse and worse. And my friends, it's not just affecting people anymore in Texas or Arizona or Oklahoma or California. But now the evidence is incontrovertible evidence that it is affecting us right here in Massachusetts and in all of New England. Now, let me just preface this. I got a couple stories I want to touch on with all of you, but let me just preface this by saying, on our way back, we were up in Canada for a couple of days, up in Montreal, and there we are, we're driving, and I'm at the border. The Canadian border, U.S.-Canadian border at Vermont, the Vermont border. And I was telling this to Cooksey. I said, you wouldn't believe the way we were getting grilled at the border. Both of my kids are adopted from the United States. Grace and I have been here for years and years and years. And they're asking us 1,000,001 questions. Roll down your window, sir. We want to see little Ashton. Is this Ava? That's Ashton. Okay. Any gifts, sir? You're bringing in alcohol or tobacco, sir? Where did you register your car, sir? Where did you go? So these Massachusetts license plates, this was done in Massachusetts. They kept us 10, 15 minutes. The only thing I'm telling you the guy didn't ask us was our sex life. I'm like, this guy with his questions. And you should have seen the line. I mean, most of them are Canadians who are going to be vacationing in the United States. You see them with their trailers and their SUVs and their bikes, and so many of them are going to be going to Cape Cod or wherever. They got money. They're going to spend money. They're going to help create jobs. They're coming here to spend money to help create jobs. The northern border is completely secure. If you're a Canadian coming in from Canada, they grill you, they register you, they check you, they ask you questions. So the people who are coming in to, vacation, spend money, hotels, restaurants, you name it, creating jobs, they're the ones being harassed at the border. But if you come in from the southern border, come on down. Dumb gringo pays for everything. Just come on down. And so Grace says to me, she goes, we just need to have the same standards on the southern border as we have on the northern border. Even up in Canada, liberal Canada, the People's Republic of Kanakistan, all of these Canadian liberals, all of Grace's friends are like, what the hell's going on with the United States? I go, well, what do you mean? I mean, you guys loved Obama. You guys cried when he won in 2008, and basically you said he saved the country from a right-wing putsch, a right-wing dictatorship with Mitt Romney in 2012. Women were going to be wearing burqas, God forbid, if Mitt Romney won in 2012, according to your propaganda. They go, no, but this is insane. I go, what do you mean, what's insane? You're allowing all of these people to come across the southern border? You don't even know who they are? They could be terrorists. They could be criminals. They could be gangbangers. All these children, you don't even know if they've been vaccinated. They could be carrying all these diseases. So, who does that? What country in the world just allows people to just come on in? Completely unvetted. Just come on in. So, I stop off for gas. I'm right near Burlington, outside of Burlington, in a town called Barre. B-A-R-R-E. Okay, Kuhner Man's minding his own business. I'm at a Shell. I'm tanking up. The kids are already, at this point, they're already going crazy. For them, the drive has already been too long. So, the portable DVD, all of the toys, the little computer, toy laptops I bought them, all of that was used up within the first hour. Now they're already whining, complaining, Mommy, I want to be home. This is too long. Already they were driving me crazy. But I'm there. I mind my own business. I'm tanking up. And it's like a, what do you call it? Like a food mart, so you can buy some gas and you can buy some food. Right there in Vermont, near the Canadian border, where it's freezing cold, winter, 5-6 months. I'm not talking southern Mass. I'm talking this is almost a Canadian style winter. It's cold in Vermont. Big sign right there on the food mart. Bienvenido cliente. SNAP EBT. Spanish for welcome clients. SNAP EBT cards. I'm like, this is incredible. So I asked the owner's from India. He's upset. He's livid. He said, no, that's the Vermont government. That's what the liberals are doing. They're forcing us to put up signs in Spanish. That's both from the federal government and the Vermont government saying in Spanish that illegal immigrants who are on SNAP or EBT cards, their money, it's accepted here. Their money's good here. We have to welcome them as clients. And he says, I'm from India. I came here legally. I came on a student visa. I wanted to stay. I had something to contribute. I worked hard most of my life. I saved up my money. I went to a bank. The bank was great. They helped me with this business. Now I own this small business. And I see these illegals coming in here. No respect for our laws. No respect for our sovereignty. Coming in here. They're all on welfare, food stamps, EBT cards. And I have to serve them every day, knowing it's my money they're buying my food with. Right there in Vermont. He goes, not Jeff, he goes, sir, the country's going to the dogs. I said, you're telling me? Right there in Vermont. Okay, right there. Bienvenido cliente. Come on down. Your EBT SNAP card, your food stamps, your EBT, no problem. Come on in. Courtesy of the dumb gringo. Now, you want to talk about the dumb gringo? Check out this. Hat tip to the Boston Herald. This was a story that appeared in yesterday's paper. It's by Owen Boss Joe Dwinnell. Hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Even though Mini-Me and the Democrats in the state have been lying to us for the last month, even though the federal government has been lying to us for the last month about plane loads of illegal immigrants being shipped in here, especially from El Paso, Texas. All of those supposed unaccompanied minors that they're bringing in, finally now they admit it's true. Sorry, we lied. So now, according to the Boston Herald, Bristol County Sheriff Thomas M. Hodgson has now said, yes, illegal immigrants were being secretly flown to Massachusetts. They're being kept in local lockups in an under-the-radar operation that, frankly, is alarming lawmen, sheriffs, who are saying the security concerns are immense. It's going to have a lot of health problems. And they're saying now, essentially, here in Massachusetts, we are all becoming border sheriffs with these people being carted all over the country. And so they now confirm that 6 plane loads of illegal immigrants were sent up from San Antonio and El Paso, Texas, to Hanscom Field in Bedford. Many of them were taken en route to the Plymouth County Correctional Facility. From there, they were processed and then basically just told to just let go. 6 plane loads. 6. There's a talk that the figure could be as many as 9 plane loads have come in with illegal immigrants that they're essentially dumping here in Massachusetts and in New Hampshire. Now, many of you are going to be saying, Jeff, this is all hate, Jeff, look, to say people should be stopped at the border, that's just hate. That's xenophobia, that's racism, that's nativism, that's just hate, Jeff. Okay. It's hate? All right, check this out. This is from National Review Online. Okay, this is a piece by Ryan Lovelace. National Review, a national conservative publication, magazine. I think it was better a few years ago, but anyway, they still do some good work. And they focus on one city in particular. Guess which one? Lynn. The city of Lynn in Massachusetts. And guess what they're finding out now from city officials in Lynn, Massachusetts? Not only is Lynn being swamped with illegal immigrant children, but now they're finding out, I swear to you, God is my witness, that many of these illegal immigrant so-called children are 35 and 40 years of age. They have pictures now that they've released to the media. There's one guy I'm looking at right now. Okay, his name is Isaiah, I-S-A-I. They don't want to give his full name. His full name has been withheld. He was released from a HHS shelter to a person identified only as a, quote, family friend living in Lynn. Apparently, on his release form from the Health and Human Services Department, they now state that he's 17 years of age. I'm looking at this guy right now. He's got gray hair. There's no way this guy's a day younger than 35 or 40. No way in hell. There's another woman that the pictures are being sent off from people in Lynn. Her name is Candelaria. Full name also withheld. This woman's got to be 45. I mean, not only has she got a lot of gray hair, she's losing her hair. Apparently, they state she's also 17 years of age. They are placing these 35, 40-year-old adults, I kid you not, in Lynn public schools. They're putting them in the 9th grade. If you're 35 years of age and you're an illegal immigrant, they just dump you in a public school in Lynn and put you in the 9th grade. And so the mayor of Lynn, the chief of staff to the Lynn mayor, Jamie Cerulli, hope I'm pronouncing the last name correctly, the chief of staff to the mayor of Lynn. This is what Jamie Cerulli said, quote, talking about these supposed alien children, some of them have had gray hair, and they're telling you that they're 17 years old and they have no documentation, none. So they show you some of these pictures of these men, 35, 40-year-old men. Here's what Jamie Cerulli said, okay, chief of staff to the mayor of Lynn, quote, if my children went to the public schools, I'd be very uncomfortable with all of these unaccompanied minors that are placed in the 9th grade. You think if this was your daughter, you think you'd be comfortable with having her go to school with this? With these undocumented illegals coming in 35, 40 years of age, you don't know if they're child molesters. You don't know if they're rapists. You have no idea what their criminal background is. You don't know what diseases they have. You don't know if they're gangbangers or members of the drug cartels. You have no idea. So now in Lynn public schools, they are placing 35, 40-year-old adults beside 9th grade school children. And here's the kicker. In 2008, 2009, according now to Catherine Latham, okay, she's Lynn's superintendent of schools. Here's what she told NRO, National Review Online. She said, yeah, we got illegal immigrants, children from Guatemala, Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, but it was 15 or 20 students. In other words, it was a trickle. Oh, Latham, my bad, forgive me. Kathy Latham. And she's like, it was a trick. We could handle it. We could absorb it. Since 2010, 2011, the number of illegal immigrants and refugees has swollen by more than, check this out, 500 students in the last couple of years. She said our classrooms are now overflowing. We have to teach English as a remedial language. These students, we don't know where they're coming from. Most American students, you have to be vaccinated before you can go to school. Many of these kids have never had any vaccines. This is threatening our complete public safety. We are literally being overrun. Now, what I'm thinking is this, as I'm reading these stories. 500 students just in the last couple years. Where are these students staying? Where are they staying? Where are they living? They at least have one parent, if not two parents. So we're not talking 500 people. We're talking at least 1,000 to 1,500 people. Where are they living? Because technically you're supposed to be living in the district when you go to that school. And I think what's going on here is very obvious. They're just sending them to Lynn because they know Lynn will take them. Who cares where they live? And they don't give a damn that it threatens the health of other students, that they could be... The students of Lynn need to be exposed potentially to the swine flu. They need to be exposed to tuberculosis. They need to be exposed to Ebola or God knows what else they may be carrying. That's what the kids of Lynn need. That's how that helps to enrich the city of Lynn. But notice, where are all these kids being dumped? Lynn, Salem, Lowell, Framingham. They never dump them in Wellesley. They never dump them in Brookline. They never dump them in Newton. They never dump them in Weston, where all these limousine liberals live. They never dump them in Cambridge. Have you noticed that? Ooh, Chief Spreading Bull, she wouldn't want them there, contaminating the kids of Cambridge, bringing her mansion, the values of her mansion, her property values down. No, 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 no. Throw them in the working class areas. So, you want to solve this problem? No problem. I'll solve it for you in a second. Let every town vote on whether they want to take in these illegal immigrants. Let me call the liberals as bluff. You want them? You take them. Let Wellesley vote, let Brookline vote, let Newton vote, let Weston vote, and let Cambridge vote, and let's see if they're willing to if they're willing to put their money where their mouth is. Let's see if Chief Spreading Bull wants these illegal immigrants and these children potentially with swine flu and tuberculosis and smallpox, if she wants chickenpox, if she wants them in Cambridge. Oh, then I bet you they would all vote against it. So you see, keep them out of our neighborhood, keep them out of our gated community, but dump them in Lynn. Because those are their kind of people. They're not our kind of people. But we're the tolerant ones. 617-266-6868 is the number. Let me ask all of you this. Lynn is now being overrun by illegal immigrants. What should Lynn do, and should every town get to vote on whether we want to take in these illegal immigrants? I say yes. What do you say, Boston? Comrade John or Comrade Juan? How you are, Comrade?
Wonderful. Mr. Kuhner, welcome back. Welcome back, Mr. Kuhner. Speaking of that, welcome, Juan. The train is yours. Hop aboard a train for the USA. Obama won't send you things. Bring your diseases, your coughs and your sneezes. Well, my lungs has a spot because they spread TB a lot. Welcome, Juan.
617-266-6868, 825 on the great WRKO. All of your calls next. Viva la revolution! 826 here on the great WRKO. Mike, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Hola, my friend. Hello, Mike. Did we lose Mike? Maybe Mike's protesting because I used the Spanish word hola. I was just kidding. Mike, it was a joke. I was kidding. Darlene, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Good morning and welcome home.
Oh, thank you, Darlene. It's great to be back home. You have no idea how much I missed it.
Glad you made it over the border. They let you back in. We would have had all come and rescue you.
Oh, I know. It was like the Gestapo. They were grilling me. I said, "Where are you? I need you guys in the southern border, not here."
Well, at least someone's doing their job. I just want to say I live in Revere, and another thing that happens when they start dumping these people in, local, like you say, blue-collar towns, the tax rate goes up phenomenally because once they get in numbers, they have to start building new schools because they have nowhere to put them.
Well, I mean, that's what Lynn is saying. You gotta hire more teachers. That costs money. You gotta hire more, you gotta buy more equipment. That costs more money. You gotta build more schools. That costs more money. And all of this is on our dime.
And another thing that angers me, I raised 2 children, partially by myself, and the people that have these kids that they're on welfare and this and that and Section 8 and the whole 9 yards, they get to stay at home and raise their children. We can't do that because, we have to be fiscally responsible. We can maybe not if we only can have one child because that's all we can afford. We can't have more because we have to support them. And these people get paid and rewarded for doing the wrong thing and being irresponsible. And I'm just sick and tired of the whole thing.
Darlene, you nailed it. And thank you for that call. Look, notice everything that's black has become white. Everything that's white has become black. You break the law, you get rewarded. You live on welfare, you get rewarded. You come in here, you're not a citizen, you get rewarded. I mean, it's incredible. You now have 500 illegal immigrant kids in Lynn just from the last couple of years. None of them vaccinated. We've got 35, 40-year-old supposed kids. They're adults. We don't know if they're rapists. We don't know if they're child molesters. We don't know if they're gangbangers. I want to repeat the quote. This is not Jeff Kuhner saying this. These are now Democratic towns and Democratic cities with Democratic representatives, okay, saying this is too much. This is insane. Jamie Cerulli, the chief of staff to the mayor of Lynn, quote, some of them have had gray hair. And they're telling you that they're 17 years old and they have no documentation. None. Quote, if my children went to the public schools, I'd be very uncomfortable with all of these unaccompanied minors that are being placed in the 9th grade. Yeah, think, genius. So, when we say, close the border, build a wall, vet people who come in, don't allow illegals to come in, maybe you'll think twice before you call us racist. Because now you're living with the problem. 617-266-6868, but I'm the extremist. Have you noticed that? I'm the extremist. 8:31 on the great WRKO. Tucci, Linda, Greg, Alan, Carol, Alvin, hang on. All of your calls after this short news break. 8:37 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. It's now 8:38 here on the great WRKO. Now, I want all of you to think about this, okay? To see how we've lost control over our country. To see how we've lost control over our own borders. To see how reckless and criminal this liberal elite in Washington is. This criminal gang in the White House. In Lynn, you now have our government and our leaders on purpose manufacturing a border crisis whereby they're just allowing anybody to come into the country. And now we've gotten to the point where a gray-haired 40-year-old illegal immigrant can now show up with no documentation of any kind at an American public high school, get enrolled, and basically roam the halls on our dime. A 40-year-old illegal immigrant, you know nothing about this guy. He's already graying. Another 5 years or 10 years, he can have, Freedom 50 or whatever. He can have early retirement. They put him in the 9th grade beside your son and your daughter. And we're paying for this. We're paying for this. Through the nose. We're paying for his education. We're paying for his public housing. We're paying for his Obamacare. We're paying for his food stamps. We're paying for his heating oil. We're paying for his Obama phone. We're paying for his EBT cards. We even give him cash to go around and buy cigarettes and whiskey. Walking around money. As he roams the halls, preying on our daughters, on our ninth grade daughters. That's what the elites in Washington have done to this country. And when we conservatives, when the Kuhner man says, this is insane, this is national suicide, this is a dereliction of your duty to protect and defend the United States, I'm the extremist. I'm the teabagger. I'm the hostage taker. I'm the right-wing neo-fascist Nazi. This is how insane the left has become. Now, let me just read to you a couple of texts, all right? Because you need to hear this, because this is coming. I'm getting a lot of texts now from people in Lynn. This is, here it is. Okay. By the way, I mentioned Mike. Okay, Mike is back on. Apparently this is from 781. Jeff, caller Mike, the Vietnam vet, and retired Jay called into report seeing a busload of what they believed were illegal adults and kids and was ridiculed by the male guest host. Are you kidding me? My friends, listen, look, I don't want to get sidetracked here, but I really apologize for Carolyn Fox. And when I renegotiate my contract, I'm going to insist with the powers that be that I have a say who is going to be my fill-in host. Because I'm tired of having these hosts insult you or insult your values. And we're going to you've got Avi Nelson, you've got other people who I know can do a phenomenal job and who aren't going to be insulting you. And you don't need to have your values insulted. So I'm gonna take care of this, and I apologize for what happened last week. Believe me, I was away on vacation. I had no idea. This is from 617. Jeff, I taught in Lynn, and my 10th grade class, and I want you to listen to this, had 20-year-olds in it. There were illegals abound, and they came from many surrounding communities. All teachers have to pass a periodic CORI, C-O-R-I, criminal checks, and I had to pass a drug test. Yet the illegals do not. Well, no, that would be racist. Only the dumb gringo has to pass criminal background checks and drug tests, not the illegals. This is Obama's new America. Bingo. And we're paying for it. Linda, you're up next. Thanks for holding, and welcome.
Hello?
Hey, Linda, you're on the air.
Yes, I just wanted to go back a little bit in your program.
Sure.
Yesterday, while watching Fox News, one of the programs stated that after World War II, a lot of these socialist countries came into being. And that was because they were able to keep putting money on their social programs because they counted on us to maintain the military.
Yes.
And I had never thought of it like that before, but it makes sense. Now, Obama's in defunding the military, but who's going to protect us?
No one. You see, what's happening is this, Linda. I'll give it to you in a nutshell. The social democracies of Europe, like Sweden and Germany and France and Italy and Norway and Denmark, what they made was they made a calculated decision. We're going to spend on nationalized health care. We're going to spend on unemployment, on welfare, on pensions, because Uncle Sam, the United States, will protect us. So we spend nothing on the military. And that's what Obama wants to do here. He wants to transform us into the European social welfare model. He wants us to become a European socialist state. That's his goal. And so what do? You drive up spending in healthcare. You drive up government spending. You amass huge deficits. You raise taxes, but you destroy the military. He's gutting out the military. We can't even protect our own borders. That's how pathetic it's become. And so, who's going to protect us? Nobody. That's the point. To destroy America as a superpower. And I got to tell you, he's executing his plan to a T. Mike, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hey, Chip. You know, I thought I was bad. I was 15 years old when I was in the 3rd grade.
Now, Mike, I got to ask you this. Is it true what that texter said? Did you want to report about seeing a busload of illegal immigrants and you were being mocked by the male host?
Well, he turned it around and made me sound as though I was a bigot.
Now, who was this?
And I texted him back. I said, hey, look, you know, you completely turned around what I said. All I said was that with the current news and the bombardment of this story out in the media, is that I happened to see a bus, and it was very noticeable, and they were people of Mexican, Central American descent, because I worked with a few of these people. And I said the bus, the only thing it didn't have was the farm animals on the roof. And I'll admit, that may have been a little bit of a little harsh. But at any rate, it doesn't matter. Jeff, the problem is, when you have the best, our audience has the best in Jeff Kuhner and Cook Street and Brittany. We have the best. And then when you left for a week, nothing can compare. Our expectations are too high because we have Jeff Kuhner as our spokesman of what's going on in society. I was at a cookout yesterday, and we were all despondent and just waiting to have Jeff Kuhner come back Monday morning to lift us.
Oh, wow. Hey, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, buddy. Take care, Mike. Honestly, I missed you guys. I mean, already by the 3rd, 4th day of my vacation, I want to come back. And Grace was like, you're becoming a workaholic. Like, what's wrong with you? Can't you just relax? I miss my audience. I miss talking with them, listening to them, communicating with them. It's like family. 617-266-6868. Greg, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on the Kuhner Report. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you, Greg.
My Canadian bride will be showing me Montreal next week.
Oh, really?
And by the way, I have 2 comments to make. One is about immigration, and the other is about Obama and Israel, if I may.
Go ahead, shoot.
I'm a teacher, and I'm going to show the X-rays of my wife's chest to prove that she didn't have tuberculosis. It's a large X-ray. I'm going to show the kids so they can see it graphically why we do this to prevent disease, because she came in the legal way, waited her turn, and became naturalized and all that. And by the way, when she became naturalized, I meant to tell you this. I went to the local voting clerk in Brockton to get her lined up to vote, and I said, I've got all the legal forms, the naturalization papers, to show that she can vote legitimately. And they said, you don't have to show us that. Just sign the card. We take your word for it. Which means illegals all over the place in this state are voting. There's no question about it. The other comment I wanted to make was about Obama and his sentiments regarding Israel and Hamas. You probably read Dr. Jerome Corsi's well-researched article that came out in 2012 about the ring that Obama wears. Do you remember reading that?
Yes.
It has the statement of Islamic faith on it, the Shahada. He's been wearing that since before he married Michelle. It is his wedding ring. It has been demonstrated that it is a Muslim wedding ring.
Greg, I got to tell, I don't know about that. I can't comment on that. What I can tell you is look at the YouTube video of him. By the way, Bo Bergdahl, apparently now it's coming in. It looks like he's going to return to active duty today. 1 month after his release, he's free as a bird. Bo Bergdahl is now, he's going back to work now. He's going to be active duty, but let that go. With that press conference, when they announced the release, the Taliban 5 swap for Bo Bergdahl, Saving Private Abdullah. Okay, Saving Private Abdullah. When they were announcing that swap for Saving Private Abdullah, there's the father of Bo Bergdahl, and he starts in Arabic praying and thanking Allah. Look at the dear leader's face. Just don't take my word for it. Look at his face. He immediately starts beaming because he understands Arabic. He speaks Arabic fluently. Beaming ear to ear. He was glowing. I swear to you, he looked like he was pregnant. You know when a woman's pregnant, she's just, hey, honey, I'm pregnant. She's so happy, she's glowing. The guy looked pregnant. He was so happy. So, believe me, I know which side he's rooting for in Hamas versus Israel. And let's put it this way. It's not Israel. 617-266-6868, 850 on the great WRKO. Don't touch that dial. $8:56 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Here's a text from 781, and this is going to be America in about 15, 20 years. Okay, mark my words. This is 781. Jeff, my neighbor was in a play in a Chelsea public school on Friday. She is 7 years old. I asked her to sing to me her part. It was all in Spanish, and she had, this is all in caps, no idea what the words meant. There you go. There you go. You go to a public school in Chelsea, forget teaching English, you have to learn Spanish. You're in a play, it's all in Spanish, and the dumb gringo recites the play in Spanish and doesn't even know the meaning of the words. It's like me when I'm filling up at the Shell gas station. Bienvenido, cliente, snappy BT. Bienvenido. I know a bit of French. Oh, it's bienvenido. Oh, welcome. Oh, okay. Welcome. Clients. So they're customers. Oh, yeah. These are esteemed customers with our money, but these are esteemed customers. EBT cards, food stamps. That's how you build a prosperous first world country. Oh, yeah. 617-266-6868 on the Vermont-Canadian border. The Guatemalans have found their way to Vermont. Pretty soon, it won't be Merry Christmas. It'll be Feliz Navidad. I mean, what the hell? Feliz Navidad. How do you say Happy New Year, Brittany? She took Spanish. See, I need Brittany now. Basically, Brittany's going to have to be my translator. Feliz Cumpleaños. The what? That's happy birthday. Okay, whatever. But basically now I need a Spanish guide, a Spanish translator. That's how I have to function in modern day America. Because English is becoming increasingly a second language. Alan, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Bienvenido, Alan.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Alan.
I'll tell you, I'm sitting outside drinking a cup of coffee, and I think I got blood squirting out of my eyes. I'm telling you. But, from day one, when I heard about the illegal immigrants coming over the border, I said there were two purposes, but now I believe there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. But the original thing was could you think of a better way to spread a pandemic with all of these disease-ridden kids? And I'm not trying to be mean, but they are disease-ridden kids who have tuberculosis that you can't even, antibiotics don't even, they're antibiotic. And the other thing was to fill the coffers of the pedophiles, because we've also heard of all the terrible things that are happening to these kids. And I've always believed that was the purpose of these kids coming over the border, was to spread a pandemic and to fill the coffers of the pedophiles. And also, overall, was to increase the power of the executive office, because he's just totally sticking it to the Congress.
Oh, there's no question about it. What we're seeing, unless we stop him, is the creation of a dictatorship here in the United States of America. There's no doubt about it now. It's so obvious to everybody. And the contempt that this man has for the laws of this country, for the people of this country, for the Constitution of this country, it's criminal. It's absolutely criminal. And that's why when Sarah Palin says impeach, I say God bless her. Tom, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Hold on. We got a break now? Okay, sorry. Hold on. We'll take, all right. Hold on. Brittany is whispering something to me in Spanish. No, Feliz Año Nuevo. That's how you say Happy New Year. You see, she had to dig deep in that. But just basically, look, hola is hello. How do you say hasta la vista is bye? Hasta la vista. Adios. You can also say adios. ¿Cómo están? What does that mean? How are you? You see? I need Brittany now. That's how I have. If I go through Lynn, if I go through Chelsea, if I'm in Salem, if I'm in Lawrence or Lowell, Framingham, I need Brittany. I can't function any other way. 617-266-6868, 901 on the great WRKO. Let's take it to Angela Anderson in the newsroom.
News at the top and bottom, talk in between.
Executing assigned host duties flawlessly because I can't do wrong.
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.
.906 here on the great WRKO. Welcome back. Hour 4, the Kuhner Report, 617-266-6868. You can also text us 680-680. All right, my friends. So here is how things stand right now. We now have our border is a bleeding sore. It is an embarrassment to the United States and to the entire world. We are being swamped and invaded. We now have supposedly unaccompanied minors. Now we're finding out many of them are 30, 35, 40 years of age that we're putting up in Lynn public schools in the 9th grade, but let that go. We're finding out they've got ties to the Mexican drug cartels. We're finding out many of them are gang members or criminals. They're coming in with tuberculosis, chickenpox, scabies. Now there are even fears of the swine flu, and Border Patrol agents are even worried about Ebola. The Ebola virus, for God's sakes, where you blow up. Literally, you blow up. You get the thing, you blow up. They are being sent to town after town after town, being dumped. And everywhere in the country, you're seeing resistance growing where these buses are being blocked by people, white, black, Latino, Asian, you name it, saying we don't want them in our community, not because we're racist, but because you're importing people that are here, A, illegally, and B, they could be murderers, they could be rapists, they could have all kinds of sick illnesses and viruses. Why are you doing this to our community? You're endangering our health and our safety. You have Iraq now up in flames. We now have Al-Qaeda, ISIS, dominating a massive swath of territory, imposing essentially a caliphate, which they are now saying is going to be the center of the global caliphate for the world. Iraq is now descending into civil war, where you now have our own military commander saying everything our troops fought and died for has been squandered. We have the war in Afghanistan, where our troops are now going to be leaving with their tails between their legs because there has not been a strategy for victory. Israel is now in the middle of a potential major war with Hamas. Syria is burning. Radical Islam is now on the march in Egypt, in Libya, in Iraq. Iran is on the verge of a nuclear bomb. Our economy is flat on its back. Everything the administration told us about the supposed job numbers, we now find out they've been revised. They were lies. There has not been an economic recovery. It hasn't been one for 6 years. And they've been lying to us for 6 years. You have the NSA spy scandal, whereby we now know there is essentially a Stasi within the United States, whereby our emails are being read, our phone calls are being listened to, they're trolling our phone records and our social media sites. We now know the Obama administration has been spying on journalists. We have an IRS that is so out of control. They have been deliberately targeting and harassing opponents of this regime, and the regime has been covering it up by lying to Congress. And now we find out destroying evidence in the process. All of this is taking place. Abuse after abuse, scandal after scandal. And what is now their final response? What is it now that the regime is saying? Are they touting Obamacare? Niet. Are they touting now their supposed big victory in the war on terror? Remember, Osama bin Laden is dead, GM is alive? Niet. Are they bragging about how good the economy is? Niet. Are they now claiming, as they were before, oh, the border is perfectly secure? Niet. They have not one achievement they can hang their hat on. Not one that they can point to. Not one. And so now, as the regime implodes, as it is now collapsing on all fronts, independents deserting him, moderates deserting him, the middle and working class deserting him, even now conservative Democrats, moderate Democrats deserting him. Obama's numbers plummeting like a stone, getting worse and worse week after week. What is it now that the regime is basing its last line of defense? Race. We knew it was coming. We just didn't think it was going to be this fast. So yesterday on ABC's This Week, Attorney General Eric Holder, always can't wait to play the race card. Oh, does he love to play that race card? The fearmonger race baiter in chief, him and the dear leader, now says, oh no, the reason why people are so angry at us, what's driving our political opponents is, quote, racial animus, unquote. In fact, don't even take my word for it. Here is Eric Holder now saying the reason why so many people dislike Obama, it's the color of his skin. Roll it, Brittany.
Well, there's a certain level of vehemence, it seems to me, that's directed at me, directed at the president. People talk about taking their country back. I can't look into people's hearts, look into people's minds, but it seems to me that this president has been treated differently than others.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So, first of all, you tell us that you can't look into people's hearts and people's minds, which is true. You're not God. I know it's a newsflash to you, but you're not God. But there's a vehemence directed against this president that there hasn't been with other presidents. No, seriously, I have to say this. Mr. Attorney General, are you stupid? No, really, are you that stupid? Or are you just a liar? They were calling Bush Hitler. Your people, the left, your side, liberals among you, led by the New York Times, led by the Washington Post, led by the Huffington Post, led by MS Left BC, which you love to do interviews on. They were calling George Bush Hitler. They were calling him a war criminal. They were saying he should be impeached. Your party was comparing Gitmo to Auschwitz. Your party was comparing Gitmo to Auschwitz. Bill Clinton was impeached. What are you talking to me about? Suddenly now, just because you're Attorney General, just because the dear leader's in office, suddenly now the criticism directed at him is, there's a vehemence I haven't seen ever. And the reason, wink, wink, roll it, Brittany.
Now, Al Sharpton, when you gave that speech, said that he thought it was about race. Those were his words. Are they yours?
Now, there's a certain racial component to this for some people. I don't think this is the thing, is a main driver, but for some, there's a racial animus.
Again with the race card. So now for some people, which people? Give me a name. Who? Ted Cruz? Rand Paul? Rush Limbaugh? Mark Levin? Howie Carr? Jeff Kuhner? Give me a name. Give me a name, Eric Withholder. You can't. But you see now, when the criminal nature of your administration is being exposed to everybody, its incompetence, its deviousness, its scandal-ridden criminal nature, suddenly now, they just don't like us because we're black. It started with race, and it's going to end with race. Are you kidding me? You have an IRS that is so out of control. They were targeting conservative after conservative after conservative. We have emails now that link Lois Lerner to members of the administration, including straight into the Obama White House. And then evidence gets destroyed. Suddenly computers just, the hard drives, they just disappear. Emails are lost. Hard drives, they're in the garbage. I don't know. It just ended up in the garbage. And you won't call a special prosecutor to investigate? And when people say you're not doing your job, you're covering up and stonewalling for the president, you're covering up his crimes. Oh no, that's the race card. You're playing the race card. Tell me, Attorney General, who was the one that ordered the illegal smuggling and walking in of guns to the Mexican drug cartels? Was that George Bush? Was that Jeff Kuhner? Was that the Tea Party? Hundreds of Mexican civilians, women and children, are dead because of that operation. 2 Border Patrol agents are dead. Thousands of those guns are still flooding and in major cities here in the United States. And then when you went to Congress under oath, you lied. You said you didn't authorize the operation when you did. That's perjury. You should forget being impeached. You should be in prison. And then, when everything is said and done, all you and the dear leader can do now is play the race card. And here is the conclusion, and it's a very sad conclusion, that I have reached with this administration. And with liberals, with liberal America, with progressives in this country. I believe, sadly, because of the Obama presidency, it is going to be impossible again to have an African American in the White House. Not because we shouldn't have an African American. To me, I judge people by the content of their character. I think Ben Carson would be a magnificent man. I love someone like Ben Carson, as an example. I love Tim Scott, conservative Republican from South Carolina. I could go right down the list. But because the liberals and the left in this country have shown that they are incapable of judging anybody according to the content of their character and the merits of their talent and what they do in office. They can't do it. For them, it's always about skin color. That's all they can see. And so if you happen to be a black Democrat, no matter what you do, here, Deval Patrick, mini-me, same thing. It's pass after pass after pass after pass. Let me ask all of you this. Okay, just stand back for a second. Objectively, let's be honest. Entre nous, as the French say, among us. George Bush was in the White House now. Mitt Romney was in the White House now. Forget George Bush. Mitt Romney. Okay? The white Mormon Republican. Iraq going up in flames. Al-Qaeda carving out a caliphate right there in Mesopotamia in the heart of the Middle East. You don't think the liberals would be going berserk? Trading the top 5 Taliban senior commanders for one deserter, Private Abdullah. You think the liberals wouldn't be going berserk? The revelations that our own government is spying on Americans and listening on our phone calls and reading our emails. My God, they would lynch Mitt Romney. That the IRS was targeting liberal progressive groups in an attempt to prevent them from galvanizing opposition against Romney. He'd be impeached so fast his head would be spinning. If you had all of these people coming in with these diseases and these gangbangers on the southern border, they'd be saying, oh my God, abdication of duty. He's abdicated his oath. He's reneged on his constitutional duty to protect his country and defend and uphold the Constitution. They would be savaging Romney day after day after day. And if Romney turned around and said, oh, you just don't like me because of my religion. You just don't like me because I'm the first Mormon president. What would the libs say? Get lost with that. Get lost. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're a Mormon. Nobody cares that you're a Mormon. It's the same thing with the dear leader. Nobody cares. Honestly, nobody cares that you're black. I see Eric Holder. You know what I see? Honestly, a criminal buffoon. I see a man with his $2,000 suits who's been the beneficiary of affirmative action and quotas his entire life, who is so arrogant, who is so corrupted by power, he thinks he can get away with anything. I see a high-class gangster. That's all I see. That's it. He's just a professional political gangster. That's it. That's all. When I look at the dear leader, I see nothing more and nothing less than a Marxist from the south side of Chicago, a con man, who continues to peddle this fiction that he's a moderate John F. Kennedy Democrat, when in fact he's Lenin in a suit. And now, with everything collapsing around us, where we are now becoming the joke of the world. Here, again, I don't want to keep referencing my vacation in Canada, but let me reference my vacation in Canada. Canadian liberals were telling me that they now look to Putin and to Russia as the leader of the world. That our influence and our power has so declined and eroded under the dear leader that they now see us as second to Russia. You have Canadian liberals, the left, saying, doesn't he look at the balance sheet? He can't see the debt. He can't see the deficit. He can't see what he's doing to his own country. Canadian leftists were telling me, but what if one of them are terrorists that are coming through that southern border? You don't know who's coming in. They could be gangbangers, they could be drug traffickers, they could be human traffickers, they could have all kinds of diseases, they could be terrorists. How can any country, never mind America, in a war on terror, just allow people to come in willy-nilly? The Canadian left has turned on this guy. The European left has turned on this guy. The only part of the world that hasn't is the Muslim world. And that should tell you everything you need to know. 617-266-6868, 924 on the great WRKO. The question is this. Do you think the opposition to Obama has been driven by racial animus? Do you agree with Eric Holder? Do you disagree? All of your calls next. 926 here on the great WRKO. Tom, you're up next on the Kuhner Report. Go ahead, Tom.
Thanks, Jeff, and welcome back. 2 quick points.
Sure.
One, on your question, there's nothing to do with racism here. Everybody knows that, I hope. These guys, are pushed through the system from day one on affirmative action. The way I call it affirmative Marxism. They go study these ridiculous topics. They never learn anything. They stand in the back of the room. They get A's. They get pass after pass after pass after pass. And they never do anything. They're incompetent. So they become
revolutionaries or trying to, they gravitate toward an ideology to tear the system down, like Marxism or racism or what have you. And that's how these guys have made their living. Holder, Obama, and the whole class of race merchants. So I think the whole thing is just a big canard and a big excuse, and you see it every day in our life. I only wish that we had some real journalism in this country and some real objectivity so that people weren't just misled and deceived every hour of the day. Point one. Point two, I just want to go back to this immigration crisis. Sure. This is orchestrated. I have a friend who is a 19-year veteran in the Plymouth House of Correction. He told me about 2.5, 3 years ago, they kept busing in and planing in gang members from the border. He's like, I don't know what the hell to do with these people. They rule the jail, they stay in there for a little while, and then they move them out across different districts within Massachusetts. My theory is that they're putting them where they want to steal votes. And this is the whole gig, by the way, is to flood the system with a standing army for Obama and to steal votes in key districts and try to, steal another election. This has been going on for a long time. It's just been unreported. It's been under the radar. And recently they just turned up the heat. I think it's because of the midterm election. So I'm a little less optimistic on this midterm election, Jeff. I hope I'm wrong, because I think they just have this vote-stealing immigration process down to a science, and they've been doing this for years and years under our nose. So I'm not so sure we're going to get the Senate. I'll just leave it at that and listen to your commentary.
Thank you very much, Tom. Look, that's my big fear. Now, the difference this time than in 2012 is if they do steal the election, if they bring in all these illegals and have them voting, and not once, but like they did in Mississippi, have them vote 2, 3, 4 times, whatever you got to do. It's going to be contested. They're not going to get away with it. They're not. And then what you have then is you have a political civil war. Now, I hope it doesn't get worse than that. I don't want violence. God, don't get me wrong. But they are playing with fire. And what I find disgusting about this regime is they can never defend themselves on the merits. He can't stand there and justify why he's not appointing a special prosecutor for the IRS. So he has to play the race card. He can't defend what he did on Fast and Furious, so he has to play the race card. They can't defend what they've been doing on the NSA, so they have to play the race card. If spying is so good, defend it. If the IRS, if really was nothing wrong, defend it. If Fast and Furious was really this great enterprise, defend it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Do we got time for another call here, Brittany? Russ, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Yeah, hello, Jeff.
Hey, Russ.
I've been holding since the last segment, so I'd like to go back to the immigration.
Sure.
I have a comment about the housing of the illegal aliens. I'm a Watertown homeowner, tax-paying resident. And if you look around Watertown and the border between Watertown and Waltham, you will see these massive housing projects that have been erected for about the last 2 years. I look around and I say, who's going to live in these things? I will admit they are upscale. The rent start at about $2,000. So I'm hoping that good quality people get in there. But with subsidized housing, I'm afraid they're going to fill them up with illegal aliens.
Oh, yeah, well, you have Section 8 housing. So a chunk of that is going to go to Section 8. And then to the others, you bring in 2, 3, 4 families. Everybody's bringing in a welfare check. $2,000 is nothing for them. You put 3 or 4 families together, each getting EBTs, welfare checks, Social Security, disability, you name it. Believe me, 3, 4 families can live in one of those, no problem.
Now, Al Sharpton, when you gave that speech, said that he thought it was about race. Those were his words. Are they yours?
Now, there's a certain racial component to this for some people. I don't think this is a main driver, but for some, there's a racial animus.
9:37 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. So there you have Eric Witholder now playing the race card. It's racial animus. So racial animus is driving opposition to the dear leader. Furthermore, Sarah Palin wrote an editorial that was published last week on Breitbart.com. And it's entitled, "It's Time to Impeach President Obama." It's now, slowly but surely, it's like a wildfire. It's spreading across the country. People are realizing we have a criminal gangster in the White House. And so as she put it in her editorial, where she she gave it to the dear leader with both barrels, quote, "Enough is enough of the years of abuse from this president. His unsecured border crisis is the last straw that makes the battered wife say, no mas." And Sarah Palin rightly argues that the dear leader, Obama, is purposefully weakening the border security between the United States and Mexico. He wants the border to be open. He's deliberately allowing all of these viruses, illnesses, gangbangers, criminals, some maybe terrorists, to come into the country. Now, remember, have we forgotten the Boston bombings already? It just takes one or two. Two Chechens with a pressure cooker and a couple of basic, literally a pressure cooker and a couple of basic tools, and you can kill a lot of Americans or maim and cripple a lot of Americans. This is criminal. And so when she says, hey, look, enough is enough. If you can't do the basic, like secure our border, it's time for you to go. Check out Eric Witholder. Ooh, he wasn't happy about that. Roll it, Brittany.
She wasn't a particularly good vice presidential candidate. She's an even worse judge of who ought to be impeached and why.
Not a very effective rebuttal there, Eric Holder. You see, they can't rebut this fundamental fact. It's your job to secure the border. It's a basic responsibility of the federal government. And if you're failing this basic duty, what good are you? So explain to us how come your border policy is not working, Mr. Holder, Eric Witholder. He can't. So he's like a child, like a sixth grade child. Nah. You weren't a very good presidential candidate. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Your wit and your debating skills are just too impressive. It's Churchillian. Your rhetoric is just Churchillian, Eric Holder. I thought a lawyer like you, a sleazy, shifty, slimy little lawyer like you with your $2,000 suit, I thought you'd have a little bit of a better rebuttal than that, Mr. Attorney General. 617-266-6868. Kevin, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go.
Buenos dias, senor. ¿Cómo se llama usted? Oh, mi nombre is Jeff Kuhner, #1 talk show host in the country from WRKO Boston. It is a sad shame. Eric Holder, look at that governor, that woman that pulled her own self up from her own bootstrings before she was a governor. Even prior, I believed, and she was a mayor of Wasilla that ran a municipality for 10 years, unlike you. She brought about all the improprieties of the oil and gas consortium, and she sat on the board and the council. God bless her. Eric Holder, you signed an affidavit 5 weeks ago allowing the worst 5 people on the planet to go to Qatar, to party hardy for a year, if it is going to be a year, to go right back into the hotbed of the theater of war where our young men, one from the Kuhner family, was deported. Yesterday was his send-off, Christina's son, Stephen, all right, a corporal, Lance Corporal in the Army, Marine Corps. God bless him. All right, Jeff,
as you went to Canada, I see at those border crossings, whether it be the one you cross in Vermont, Colebrook, New Hampshire, even if we go to Calais, Vermont. It's one thing. When I'm on the state side, all right, I see the EBT, but multiple languages. But when I cross the border, if I go to a Tim Hortons, if I go to a John Irving and I get my petrol fill up, I never see, come here to Canada and get stamps. And I'm very impressed with the new money since your last trip. Don't you like that new money? Because they don't have to print it the way we are, all right, just around the clock. It's just unbelievable. Nice, Bill. Welcome home. We were at that barbecue over the weekend up on the North Shore. I'm telling you, the Kuhner family, that Cindy, Mark, they're a trip and a half. Vicky from Winchester, so many new faces, all right, that we never came together yet. Even Mikey found his way down from Derry, New Hampshire. Good old firefighter Mike.
Thank you for that call, Kevin. I was sorry I couldn't make that barbecue. I was on my way back from Canada. But no, look, you touch on it. Here, look. Again, socialist Canada. They don't allow illegals. You see, they secure their border. You go to Canada, you don't see multiple languages. You nailed it. You want welfare, you want public housing, you want food stamps, just no problem. It's bienvenido clienti. You don't see that up there in Canada. Why? Because it's the same country. Nobody does what these liberals are doing here. So you have to ask yourself the question, why? Why? Germany enforces its borders. England enforces its borders. Sweden enforces its borders. Mexico, they don't like it when the illegals come in from Central America. They crack down. How come we're the only ones? We're the only one, literally, we're the only ones in the world that say, come on down. And I think the answer is obvious. The dear leader wants to break the back of this country. He wants to swamp it with unlimited third world immigration, transform it culturally, economically, demographically, because as he said, a couple days before his election in 2008, we are on the verge of fundamentally transforming this nation. In less than 6 years, have you ever seen a country lose its superpower status the way we have? We are being destroyed almost on a weekly basis. And with this guy, it never ends. And so when he's finally being called on it, when now the American public has turned against him decisively, now all they have left is race. That's all they have. 617-266-6868. It began with race, and it's going to end with race. Tucci, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Oh, you're back.
Hey, Tucci.
I can't start telling you how I feel and the way I feel that you're back. I'm just happy you're back. It's just like what we the founding fathers, the past president has built up to now that Obama and his colleagues are destroying. Just the same way Kuhner country they were trying to destroy Kuhner country, but thank God for that. You're back. And I don't want to talk about Eric Holder. He's just possibly he's just still sleeping, because if he noticed what is going on, the blacks are even turning against him and his boss. And when it comes to matter of Israel and Palestinian, I mean, I think Bibi should go ahead and do whatever he feels like doing, because nobody can allow anybody intrude in his lives and wouldn't want to do something about it.
Thank you for that call, Tucci. Well, look, it would be something like this. Okay, take any country, take Canada or Mexico, it really doesn't matter. Imagine if, let's say from Canada, let's say from Quebec, just for the sake of argument, okay, that they began raining rockets and missiles. Hundreds and hundreds on a daily basis. They're hitting Vermont. They're hitting Boston. They're hitting New Hampshire. They're hitting Philadelphia. They're hitting Manchester, New Hampshire. What do you think we would say after, 2-3 weeks of this? Guys, send in the army and take them out. Okay, so then we hit them. And then they keep doing it. What would you conclude after a couple of years? There's no negotiating with these people. They're not interested in peace. Send in the army, smash them decisively so they stop raining rockets and targeting our civilians. It's the same thing with Israel. The Palestinians could have peace yesterday. The Israelis have been saying again and again, you want to negotiate the West Bank, Gaza, even Jerusalem, not Likud, but the Labor Party has said, we'll even negotiate Jerusalem. You want a Palestinian state, it's there for the taking. They don't want it. Because in the end, they don't want two states living in peace side by side. They want the Jews gone. 617-266-6868. Donna, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome, Donna.
Oh, we missed you, and I hope you're well rested, Jeff.
Oh, I feel really good.
Good, honey. The foot and mouth disease was found in some illegals, too, by the way.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I was wondering if that's how you might have had it originally spread.
Because I got it through my daughter. Ava got it, and I got it from Ava.
Yeah, I was wondering where she got it from. Listen,
McDonald's. Honestly, McDonald's.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we take her to McDonald's, and there's a lot of illegals at McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh, maybe the workers. Listen, I'd like to say something about this Obama and also about the invasion. Obama has been treated differently. He's had a whole lot more freaking slack cut for him than any president that I've ever seen. Shamefully, because of his race. If he was treated the same as anyone else, that would be real equality. I don't care about his color. I care about his competence, and I care about his values and standards and following that oath he took. So I think Eric Holder's argument, his first statement that he's been treated differently is correct, but for a completely 180-degree difference. He's been cutting more slack because of his race.
Well, they've gotten away with stuff no other administration would ever get away with.
You got it. Secondly, on this invasion, Article 1, Section 10 says that when the federal government won't or is unable to defend an invasion, a state is allowed to do everything it can. The states need to turn the people away. Also, the people that are coming in, MS-13, you know, that horrible gang,
yes,
is paid $50,000 each to bring in terrorists, Chinese, and Russians. Most of the kids, quote kids, are 14 to 17-year-olds. 3/4 are male. A whole lot of them are gangs. And then only 2% of that almost $4 billion for sealing the border, the spending includes, get this, leadership training for illegals. Leadership training is code for social activism. I think they're being brought in also to be used for social activism.
Donna, you nailed it, and it's even worse. Have you noticed now the Obama administration, Attorney General Eric Holder, as he's crying racism, has now come out and said all of these illegals, they're going to be given a lawyer. We're going to have to pay for them to have a lawyer. So not only are they going to have access to schools, health care, welfare, EBT, public housing, you name it, we're giving them a lawyer. And they're going to know all their rights. And before you know it, they're never going to go. By the way, Brittany wants me to clarify. I don't know if my little daughter got it at McDonald's. I was kidding. We bring her to McDonald's once in a while. She likes those little play areas. So I was kidding. Maybe she got it from an illegal who got it to me. I don't know how my little daughter got foot and mouth disease. All I know was the Kuhner man was sick like a dog for about 10 days before I left on that vacation. And I feel like $1 million now. 617-266-6868. Nothing against McDonald's. In fact, we had some yesterday. I had a Big Mac. Honestly, it was incredible. Comrade Juan, how you work? Hola, Comrade Juan.
No, it's not Comrade Juan. It's Juan Stradamus right now. Jeff, some years ago I told you that you're looking at your new dictator, and you kind of poo-pooed it, and that's okay. But after today, you seem to be coming around that that's what you're setting them up for. I'm going to make another prediction. And mark the time and the date. In my words, because it's coming. Within 2 years, if not sooner, you will see foreign troops in America. Guaranteed.
Now, when you say foreign troops, what do you mean, like UN troops?
You will see UN troops. You will see China be allowed to backdoor us. And this will all be done to help confiscate the guns, because the American hunter and gun collectors have the biggest standing army in the world. And this government is trying to take over the country, and they will need foreign help. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Jeff, but I've been right on an awful lot of things, and I'm telling you, it's going to happen. God bless America and save the Queen.
Thank you for that call. 617-2, God save the Queen. 617-266-6868, 952 on the great WRKO. More with your calls next. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 958, my friends. I got about 50 seconds. I'd love to take more calls, but I just can't. So we'll be back tomorrow. A couple of other stories I wanted to touch on. There's an important Massachusetts gun bill that passed the state legislature. It's on its way to the Senate. I'm going to be covering that tomorrow. Also, a lot more developments in Maharashtra. So we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's great to be back, my friends. You've been listening to Boston's Bulldozer, and remember, together, we're beating liberals one day at a time.
In between.
Yes, it is. Thank me very much. Go right ahead, my friend.
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.